I considered taking the approach of, hey, let's be energetic and pretend to be happy and then kind of like flip it to announce bad news. I just don't really have the energy to do that, so let's just get into it. I now have 4 times more tumors in my brain than I did last year. The information that I currently have is pretty limited, so I know that you probably have a lot of questions. I do too, so does my wife. Unfortunately, I have very, very few answers, so all I can do at the moment is just kind of like walk you through what happened, and that way you'll be able to have the same amount of information that I do. And then, in a couple of days, a week, whatever, whenever I get the more information, I get the, full story, then I'm going to go ahead and share that. But until now, all I can do is just share the few details that I do have. So, started a couple hours this morning. I had an appointment with my neurologist. Now, I want to clarify, I have a neurologist and I have a neurosurgeon. My neurologist takes care of everything related to convulsions. My neurosurgeon takes care of everything else. So everything related to the tumors in my brain and how to treat them. He's the one in charge of the scans. He's the one following me on that. My neurologist, who I had an appointment with this morning, pretty much only handles anything to do with convulsions with epilepsy. But since I had an appointment with him and I haven't heard back from the hospital since I did my brain scan over 2 weeks ago, I asked him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I have the results right here in front of me. If you want, I can share them with you. And by the way, it was a phone appointment. I didn't have to go to the hospital, luckily. So at least there was that. That was good news. So he looks at the scans and he's like, it seems like there's a lot new brain lesions that have developed. There now appears to be 13. Whereas opposed to before, there were 3. And just to kind of clarify something, because I was a little confused by that, I had to Google it and really take the time to understand the difference. A brain lesion is damaged tissue in the brain, whereas a brain tumor is damaged tissue in the brain that causes malformations of the cells, which creates a mass which can either be benign or cancerous. So in the past, I was started off as 3 lesions, became 3 tumors. 2 of them were bigger, 1 of them was smaller. About a year ago, I got radiotherapy. The 2 biggest ones have been shrinking ever since. Last scan, not the last one, I just got the one before that. That was still the verdict, but the smallest one, the one that's like, barely a tumor, it's just like a little more than a lesion, which was also, operated with radiotherapy, had grown a bit, but really not that much. There wasn't much to worry about. And that last scan was in September. And then I got the last scan, or the first scan of this year, end of January. So let's say like 3.5 months later or something like that. And in those 3.5 months, 10 new lesions developed. So at the moment, they're not technically tumors, they're just brain lesions. Only time will tell what will happen. But given the fact that the last 3 turned into tumors, and the fact that I have tumors in multiple other areas of my body, it's very logical to assume this is also what is going to happen to these lesions. So, at the moment, because I was speaking to my neurologist and not my neurosurgeon, he didn't really have much more information to share with me. He didn't have the official results or anything of the scan. He just had the scan and he could look at it, and that's what he saw. So the information I have is, limited, but still, 10 new lesions. I had 3, it went from 3 to 13. That means that the amount of lesions, which will most likely eventually turn into brain tumors, has quadrupled in the last 3.5 months. which in a way like is surprising because like that's a lot. That is a big difference in in a short amount of time. However, pretty much around that same time as well, end of last year, well, it's like, oh, tumors in my lungs grew, and it spread to my liver, which is why we started the new immunotherapy treatment. So it's like, even though I wasn't expecting this, it was kind of an unwanted surprise, but it's not really that surprising when you think about it. It's like, oh, we grew in the lung, it spread to the liver around the same time, develop new lesions in your brain. It kind of makes sense to a certain degree. So at least it's logical, not fun, not good news, nothing that I was expecting, but nothing that I can really do because at this moment, all I have is the information I just shared with you. He's going to speak to my neurosurgeon today and either get him to call me back or schedule an appointment, something like that. I'm not really sure what's going to happen exactly on that front, but basically he's going to go speak to my neurosurgeon and something will happen and eventually someone will contact me. I'll have an appointment and I'll be able to get the official results of the scan, and then I'll be able to ask more questions like, okay, now that we have the official results, now that we know all the information, what is the next move? What is the next best strategy that we can use given the current situation? So now I'm kind of like stuck in this limbo state because I know eventually I'm going to need to process this. It's some, very big news, but unfortunately I can't process it because I don't have all the information. There's no point in reacting to this and processing this because I don't really know exactly everything and I don't know what's going to happen as a result of that. So it's like at the moment I'm kind of like waiting. I'm waiting for someone to call me, someone to schedule an appointment to get the results of the scan. I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe it's going to be a couple days, a week, a couple weeks. I don't know. But for now, I'm stuck in that state of just waiting, not really being able to process, not really knowing what's going on fully. But at the same time, it's like there's no point in stressing and worrying about this because one, I don't have control over it. And two, I don't have all the information. So all I can do, once again, is wait. But the thing is, like, no matter what, this is bad news. Like, there is no way this can be good news. I don't know how bad it's going to be exactly, but the fact that the amount of lesions in my brain has quadrupled in the last few months is definitely not a good sign. But once again, it's like, well, I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if and when the lesions are going to evolve into full-blown tumors, what the impact that is going to have on my body. If we're going to need to do radiotherapy again. If so, then we have to interrupt immunotherapy. But we just started the new immunotherapy treatment. It seemed kind of illogical to halt that for now. So it's like maybe we'll wait on the brain thing until, we start getting results from the immunotherapy for the rest of the body. And then kind of like, all right, let's take a little break from that. Let's do radiotherapy to the brain, try to take care of those new lesions. Maybe by then they'll have become, full-blown tumors. I don't know exactly. So once again, it's just like not knowing, waiting, not really being able to process anything. And, I know it's difficult for other people in my life too, like especially my wife, because it's like she's the type of person who like wants all the information. She wants to understand everything. That allows her to be able to process things, and unfortunately, I don't have that information to give her. And also for me, it's like, okay, yes, I do want to know what's going on, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I know that's not going to help in any way whatsoever. It's only going to make things worse. Plus, there's no reason to do that because I don't have all the information yet. So I'm just really stuck in this limbo state of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. But I thought it was important to share this now because it just happened now, as opposed to waiting till I have all the information and then share that, because that's the point of this channel, to share everything that happens as it happens, not to share it after the fact and be like, hey, this is what happened. It's like, no, this is what's happening right now. Information I have is limited, but now you have the same amount of information that I do. So yeah, I don't know what kind of day today is going to be. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm not really sad or depressed or anything like that. It's just because I'm not able to process this information yet. I'm kind of stuck in this limbo state. I just feel like I don't really know what to do with myself. Like, I know I still need to, force myself to eat, try to avoid vomiting, exercise as much as I can, make sure that I walk, take care of my body, make sure to get as much sleep as I can get, and so on and so forth. But it just like, part of it kind of feels like, given this news that I just got, even though I don't have all the news, it still kind of feels like this normal everyday today like stuff just feels kind of like, not like what's the point, but it just feels like it's so unimportant in comparison to what I just, found out. But at the same time, it's like, it's still my life. It's still something I need to do every day. There's nothing I can do regarding this new news until I have all the information and I know what the plan is for the future. All I can do is just wait and do the normal everyday stuff. It just feels kind of bleh, Anyway, that's been the update. Don't really feel like doing my normal outro, so thank you for watching. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.